What is going on, guys? The 2020 NFL offseason was a wild one, that's to say the least. There were all kinds of big-time trades, free agent signings, monster contract extensions, and some intriguing draft selections too. But as we've all learned throughout the years, the vast majority of blockbuster moves don't pan out. Here are 10 notable offseason moves that these teams may end up regretting in 2020. Number 10, Rams give Andrew Whitworth $30 million extension. The cap-strapped Los Angeles Rams saw a ridiculous amount of notable impact players leave this offseason, including Todd Gurley, Brandon Cooks, Eric Weddle, Corey Littleton, Dante Fowler Jr., Nickel Roby-Coleman, and Greg the Leg Zuerlein. Other than that, their offseason wasn't that bad. Well, I mean, actually, kind of was. Rather than try to keep 2 or possibly 3 of those key players, the Rams decided to give past his prime offensive tackle Andrew Whitworth a 3-year extension worth $30 million. He's a great locker room guy and all, but how is he deserving of this $30 million? Whitworth received a mediocre 72.8 grade from Pro Football Focus for the 2019 season, although he only allowed 1 sack per PFF. Whitworth was penalized a whopping 14 times. He's becoming more and more of a liability on that O-line. The Rams would have easily found a quality replacement at a much lower price. There was no need whatsoever to give Whitworth this much money and term. We wouldn't be the least bit surprised if GM Les Snead regrets it after the season. Number 9, Broncos sign Melvin Gordon. NFL teams have quickly learned to stop throwing giant contracts at the devaluing running back position. Just look at Todd Gurley, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and Devontae Freeman, 4 former Pro Bowlers who quickly became replaceable. The Los Angeles Chargers knew this and were smart to not pay Pro Bowl running back Melvin Gordon, who sat out the first month of 2019 due to a contract holdout. He left in free agency and landed a 2-year, $16 million deal with the AFC West rival Denver Broncos. With all due respect to John Elway, we really don't understand this contract. You already have a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher in Phillip Lindsay on a cheap deal. Why are you overpaying for a second running back you don't need? Second-year QB Drew Lock already has enough weapons in Lindsay, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, and rookies Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. He doesn't need an inconsistent running back who failed to average 4 yards per carry in 4 of his first 5 NFL seasons. At least it's only a 2-year deal, I guess. Number 8, Vikings trade Stefon Diggs to Bills. Throughout 2019, it was clear that Stefon Diggs was playing out his final season in Minnesota. The trade rumors ran wild during the season, and Diggs didn't exactly deny them. In the early stages of the offseason, the Vikings traded Diggs and a 2020 7th rounder to the Bills for 2020 1st, 5th, and 6th round picks plus a 2020 4th rounder. The Vikings used the number 22 pick they got from Buffalo on LSU wideout Justin Jefferson, one of the top receiving prospects in the 2020 draft class. We have little doubt about Jefferson's ability to grow into a star, but the Diggs for Jefferson swap doesn't do a whole lot to help the Vikings win now. And they're built to win now, not in the long-term future. Many lost 4 starters on defense this offseason, and offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski also left to coach the Cleveland Browns. Diggs formed excellent chemistry with Cousins. It'll be tough for Jefferson to replicate that without a proper preseason. This Diggs trade could very well pay off for Minnesota in the long term, but we just feel like they would be better off keeping Diggs for at least 1 more season, with their competitive window closing fast. Only time will tell if the Vikings made the right call by trading a proven star receiver, but we wouldn't be surprised if they feel uneasy with the trade after just 1 season. Number 7, Lions sign Jamie Collins. Jamie Collins had 2 brilliant tenures with the New England Patriots. The guy was anything but a star during his 2.5 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. So maybe, just maybe, the guy's only a star if he's playing in Bill Belichick's system. You know, a system that can make anybody look like a Pro Bowl talent. Collins had perhaps his best season yet upon returning to New England in 2019. He had 7 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, a trio of interceptions, and 7 sacks. That earned him a 3-year contract worth $30 million from the Detroit Lions, who were coached by former Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. Sorry, but the Lions have invested more than enough already, as they try to bring the Patriot way to Detroit. And newsflash, it hasn't worked. Bob Quinn shouldn't be GM. Patricia shouldn't be the coach. Just because you're bringing in a bunch of former Patriots players, it doesn't mean they'll reach the same level of success with the new team. Not to mention that Patricia clearly isn't capable of getting the most out of his best defensive players. Don't be surprised if Collins ends up being the latest former Patriot to fail in Detroit. Number 6, Titans give away Jarrell Casey to Broncos. When you're coming off a trip to the AFC Championship game, the last thing you should do is give away one of your most valuable players for pennies on the dollar. John Robinson quickly asserted himself as one of the NFL's best GMs, but trading away 5-time Pro Bowler Jarrell Casey to the Broncos for only a 7th round pick. We'd love an explanation for that one. Casey has recorded at least 5 sacks in 7 straight seasons now, and his leadership in the locker room meshed so well with the fun culture implemented by head coach Mike Vrabel. Casey was stunned by the trade, claiming that he was thrown away like a piece of trash. I mean, can you blame the guy? If the Titans' young guys don't step up in 2020, they'll really regret this trade. Number 5. Browns sign Austin Hooper. The 2020 free agent market was lacking in quality playmaking pass catchers. So former Atlanta Falcons Pro Bowl tight end Austin Hooper was bound to be paid more than he was worth. Sure enough, Hooper landed a 4-year, $42 million contract with the Cleveland Browns. He picked the right time to have a career season, with 75 catches for 787 yards and 6 touchdowns during a contract year in 2019. Thing is, the Browns made plenty of notable offseason moves to the point where Hooper feels more like an unneeded luxury rather than a necessity. I mean, that's not bad, but it's not necessary. They had to fix the O-line, and GM Andrew Berry did just that with the Jack Conklin signing and with the Jedrick Wills draft selection. And with Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry in the fold, pass catchers weren't an area of concern this offseason. Not to mention Cleveland already has a young tight end in David Njoku, and they wound up drafting 2019 John Mackey Award winner and Florida Atlantic product Harrison Bryant in round 4. Myles Garrett already received his mammoth extension. Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, and Nick Chubb will need theirs soon as well. So why throw all that money at Hooper? With a ridiculous amount of pass catching talent already on the roster, it's going to be very hard for this team to live up to that contract. Number 4. Jaguars sign Joe Schobert. The Jacksonville Jaguars made the right decision to finally rebuild this offseason. They somehow managed to get rid of Nick Foles' awful contract, and GM David Caldwell cleared up cap space by moving on from expensive veterans Calais Campbell, AJ Boye, and Marcel Darius. But if they're rebuilding, why did they bother to throw a 5-year, $53.75 million contract at Joe Schobert? This team has an embarrassing history of getting very little value out of a pricey free agent signing, and they already have Miles Jack, Josh Allen, and promising rookies Kayvon Chason anchoring their front seven. Why overpay for an anchor linebacker? Schobert recorded a very lackluster 59.1 grade from PFF for the 2019 season. He doesn't offer much in regards to sacks or coverage. So where is the value in that $53.75 million? Mediocre production, too much money, lack of a need at linebacker. Yeah, the Jaguars could so regret this contract in short time. Number 3, Titans give Ryan Tannehill a $118 million extension. Here's the thing, the Titans kind of had to extend Ryan Tannehill. You do not let a guy walk when he led you to the AFC title game and won Comeback Player of the Year honors. We don't think that Tannehill will flop, but we wouldn't be surprised if he failed to live up to the 4-year, $118 million extension that the Titans awarded him. I mean, Tannehill isn't going to repeat his career best 70.3 completion percentage, or his career best 13.3 yards per completion percentage, nor his career best and off-the-charts 117.5 quarterback rating. Those were all numbers well above his career totals. It'll be hard for him to do that again, especially in a full 16-game season. Don't forget, Tannehill had a concerning amount of injuries in his final 3 years with the Miami Dolphins. He wasn't awful in South Beach, but he wasn't great either. If Tannehill regressed big time, and if the Titans don't get back to the playoffs, Robinson might regret not pursuing somebody like Tom Brady, Teddy Bridgewater, or Cam Newton. Number 2, Panthers replace Cam Newton with Teddy Bridgewater. Speaking of Cam, a shoulder injury hampered him throughout the second half of the 2018 season, as the Carolina Panthers missed the playoffs following a promising 6-2 start. Newton only played 2 games in 2019, but before a Lisfranc injury forced him to hit the season-ending IR, those 2 injury-riddled seasons prompted the Panthers to release the franchise icon, and they replaced him with Teddy Bridgewater, signing the former New Orleans Saints back up to a 3-year, $63 million contract. Yeah, Newton had injuries, but 31 is still young for a quarterback, and Bridgewater hasn't played a full season since 2015. He only made 5 starts for the Saints in 2019 because Drew Brees suffered a thumb injury. Yeah, Bridgewater won all 5 starts, but Sean Payton and the rest of the Saints' star-studded roster may have had something to do with that. Bridgewater could flourish in Matt Rule's system, with weapons like Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Robbie Anderson around to support him. But there's also a chance that Bridgewater fails to produce the way he did in New Orleans. There's also a great chance that Newton revives his career in New England, proving Carolina was silly to give up on him so quickly. Number 1, Seahawks trade for Jamal Adams. All-pro safety Jamal Adams got fed up with the New York Jets' refusal to grant him a contract extension. Adams requested a trade and then later called out both head coach Adam Gase and owner Woody Johnson, which ultimately forced GM Joe Douglas to give in to his demands. The Seattle Seahawks stepped up and made a deal to acquire Adams and a 2022 4th-round pick in exchange for 2021 and 2022 firsts, as well as a 2021 3rd-rounder, plus veteran safety Bradley McDougald. This was a great trade for the Jets. They aren't anywhere close to competing anyway. They have plenty of draft capital now, and McDougal is a fine replacement at safety for the time being. There's no denying that Adams is a world-class talent. By far the best safety in the game, but this is a lot to give up. The Seahawks defense will undoubtedly improve with Adams, but they still have glaring weaknesses at quarterback and on the defensive line. You don't give up this much draft capital for a safety. The Seahawks will be playoff contenders in 2021 and 2022, so those firsts will likely be later picks anyway. But what if Adams doesn't produce the way he did in New York? What if the defense doesn't make leaps with him? What if the Seahawks aren't able to extend him long term? With so many questions centered around this trade, it's a move that GM John Schneider and head coach Pete Carroll could very well end up regretting. What other offseason moves do you think could be regretful? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are on everything, Twitter. Go check it out. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and of course subscribe because we post videos every day. More sports content for you. I know you want that. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. See you next time.